Bombshell story coming from The Intercept about international corruption. Jared Kushner's real estate firm sought money directly from Qatar government weeks before blockade. So listen to this. The Kushner real estate firm made a direct pitch to Qatar's Minister of Finance in 2017 to try and get money for a terrible investment they made in a building in New York City. So Jared Kushner and his dad had the meeting at the St. Regis Hotel in New York, and a follow-up meeting was held the next day at the Kushner property itself. And the Qatari finance minister basically told them to fuck off and said, listen, I don't want to do this deal with you and get involved in this real estate deal. So only a month later, the White House decided, oh, we're going to crack down. We're going to crack down on Qatar. Now, of course, they'll give you some sort of song and dance about how, no, this had nothing to do with the corrupt business deal or anything like that. But the reality is, it very well might. If you get turned down by the finance minister of Qatar for a personal deal, well, then, yeah, you could hit back. You know, you could hit back through official policy if you have access to control official policy. And obviously, Jared Kushner does. So Jared Kushner backed Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in a feud with Qatar. And in fact, they blockaded Qatar. Isn't that wild? So he tries to get a personal deal with top officials from Qatar. They say no, and then oops, look at that. I just happened to blockade you a little bit later. So Kushner then also undermined efforts by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to bring an end to the standoff. So Tillerson was trying to work out a deal, and the whole idea is all the Gulf countries are supposed to be aligned, but there was this feud between them, and Kushner was brokering some sort of peace in the situation, and Jared Kushner was standing in the way. And Jared Kushner was saying, no, I'm gonna be anti-Qatar, but no, it has nothing to do with the fact that they just told me to fuck off for a personal business deal. This is why you're not supposed to have business people that have ties all around the world be in the White House controlling policy, because they can do self-dealing. This is exactly what the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution is about. So the Qatari government, get this, even reached out to Robert Mueller to tell him what was going on. This is corruption hitting a whole nother level. And wouldn't you, if you're in Jared Kushner's shoes, wouldn't you be smart enough to be subtle in your corruption? No, he's not being subtle at all. He thinks he's fucking invincible. And anybody who connects these dots is going to see what's actually going on here. So The Intercept goes on to explain, the fallout has reshaped geopolitical alliances in the region, splitting the Gulf Cooperation Council and pushing Qatar, home to the Middle East's largest U.S. military base, closer to Turkey and Iran. So, all right, do you understand what that means? That means there is a realignment going on now globally, probably as a result of Jared Kushner's own personal corruption. So he's snubbing former allies of the U.S. so much, likely as a result of the failing of a personal deal he was trying to make, that there's a realignment happening. So they continue. U.S. intelligence services had determined that officials in 4 countries, the United Arab Emirates, China, Israel, and Mexico, had been privately discussing how to use Jared Kushner's real estate investments as a way to gain leverage over him in order to influence official U.S. policy. So there you go. There you go. So you have people in the UAE, China, Israel, and Mexico who are like, okay, we know Jared Kushner is incredibly corrupt, and we're going to try to do deals with him to curry favor in Washington, D.C. to get favorable policy. This is exactly what I was concerned about and what others were concerned about in regards to the Clinton Foundation and Hillary Clinton, and the fact that Bill and Hillary raised over $3 billion for all their different projects and all their different campaigns throughout their time as politicians. And now we have Jared Kushner. I mean, Jared Kushner is a mini Hillary Clinton. Jared Kushner is a mini Donald Trump. He's a child of nepotism. Daddy was rich, so He's got a lot of money as well, and he's in way over his head with a lot of these projects. That building in New York City that they have, they lose a tremendous amount of money on that on a regular basis, which is why he was trying to hook Qatar in to help him with the real estate deal. And now we know. And we already learned about this in regards to Israel. Did you know he took over $30 million from a top Israeli financial institution? And then look at that. Lo and behold, he pushes for the UN to axe the condemnation over illegal Israeli settlements. He was working behind the scenes to try to lobby, to try to get other countries to not condemn illegal Israeli settlements. Isn't that unbelievable, man? I mean, you couldn't get a clear case of wanton, brazen, in-your-face corruption. And this leads me to believe, this story alone leads me to believe, so we already have Mueller getting Manafort over money laundering. We already have Mueller getting Flynn for corruption, basically not registering as a foreign agent, but pushing what Turkey wanted in our government in not arming the Kurds against ISIS. So we have a bunch of clear examples of corruption and a grab bag of international influence in Trump's White House. And the way it looks to me is Jared Kushner might be the most guilty on this front. And it looks like they have the most evidence against Jared Kushner. So that means Jared Kushner might be going down. And he might be going down next. There's also talks now about Ivanka's businesses. So they're being looked at. So the people who are closest to Trump are now coming down. That means that Trump may be next. They might get Trump on something. Listen, you guys know my whole thing on the Russia situation. You know that in my mind, I think Trump is guilty of money laundering. I think he did corrupt deals with the mafia. There's evidence of that at his Panama hotel. So I think we have the evidence to get Trump. It looks like he violated the emoluments clause from day one of his campaign. So there's the evidence to bring him down. It's just a matter of how exactly it'll unfold. And I don't know if you can indict a sitting president. That's an open legal question, which means you have to impeach Donald Trump. And I don't think the Republicans are going to impeach him, even if you get the clearest financial crimes ever. Because, I mean, they're loyal to him from you know, the top down. Everybody in the Republican Party, the elected Republicans, really are, when push comes to shove, going to fall in line behind Donald Trump. At least they have until this point. So I don't know if you're going to be able to impeach him. I don't think you're going to be able to impeach him. So with Trump, they might be chasing their own tail. But in terms of Manafort and Flynn and Kushner and maybe even Ivanka, it looks to me like, man, the bigger they are, the harder they fall with everybody surrounding Donald Trump. And it's true that you don't know what Kushner's going to say in the process on the way down. Is Kushner going to say, listen, I'm going to give you everything I got on Donald Trump if you promise me a lighter sentence or whatever? But this doesn't look good for him. And this is a great job by The Intercept here, and I'm sure it's a great job by Mueller's team just digging deeper into their financial records and finding out what's really going on. And if you guys remember, I said from day one, as soon as there was a Reuters article that came out that said, oh, the Russia probe is now looking into their finances, that was when I said, oh, well, this is now serious. This is now real. So when it was just trying to find treason or that Trump is some sort of a Manchurian candidate who's Putin's puppet, I thought this is stupid. This is 100% Democrat Benghazi. But now you look at it, and since there's a lot of evidence of international corruption, currying favor for foreign governments, not just Russia, but clear examples for Saudi Arabia, for Israel, for Qatar, if they're inclined to go after him for this, look out. Because it looks to me like all the evidence is there, and man, when you get to that level, when you get to being president of the United States, or, you know, you're in the inner circle, it turns out they all act like Hillary Clinton, and they all can't wait to do favors for foreign countries for personal gain. And that's exactly what Jared Kushner did. And this story is as real as a heart attack. And anybody who cares about corruption, anybody who cares about bribery, anybody who cares about self-dealing, should pay attention to this story, because this could be the downfall of Trump's inner circle.